When it comes to this historic double strike, everybody's pointing out that the writers are probably the most vulnerable when it comes to the entire situation. Like, they all agree that the actors, like the directors and producers, have a little bit more leeway, in getting what they want. But the writers, on the other hand, are not so fortunate. Now, you might say, well, why is it? Or you might ask, why is that? Well, mainly because of the fact that the writers, even though they are asking for reasonable, I guess you could say compensation, work hours, stuff like that, which they have a right to do. Any employer or employee, I should say, any employee, freelancer, whatever, that works for a company or a major studio, if they feel like, hey, we're not getting, what we were promised, benefit wise or payment wise, they have the right to say, hey, we're going to go on strike until we get what you promised us. They have a right to do that. They have the right to do that. Um, it's in the law. If you don't live up to your end of the bargain and giving them what you promised from a employment standpoint, they have the right to go on strike. Well, the writers, you know, again, they have the right, to feel the way they do. Basically, they believe that they should be compensated for everything that's going on. Like, they should have better health benefits. They should have bigger writing rooms, more of a writing team. You know, that they should have bigger pay rate. A decent sized pay rate. Less working hours, and I guess you can say forced. Certain. Forced deadlines or whatever. They have a right to ask for all that, but unlike the actors, directors, and producers, apparently, according to a lot of reports, they are not in a position to really succeed in getting what they want. Like, they'll get what they want, but maybe not the way they want it because they, out of all the other guilds, are the most vulnerable for the studios to really be like, okay, you want to act like this? You want to strike? You want to ruin Hollywood? Guess what? We're going to ruin you. And apparently, the way they want to ruin them, as I've talked about when I've mentioned this, but I've never done a solo video on it. The way they want to ruin them is to, make them, basically lose their homes, lose the, lose the roof over their head and everything. Get behind on bills and stuff like that. Maybe lose their cars, their vehicles, their transportation. Basically, they want them to financially suffer to the point that a lot of them may go, right to the AMPTP and the studios and be like, okay, fine, you win this round. We'll take what you can give us for right now, but you have at least until maybe the end of this deal to give us a better offer, within the next year or two or three or whatever. That might, that's basically what the studios want to do, according to a lot of reports. And is this a cruel situation that we're in? Is this, like reality, a cruel reality that we're in right now? Yes. Yes, it is. Because, one common thing a lot of people say when it comes to this is, yes, they are in agreement, with the writers and the actors and, them getting what they should get. I'm the same way. But the timing, as I put it in the title of one of my videos, and everybody else has said this, even those that support the writers and the actors, the timing couldn't be any worse, because we're still getting out of the whole COVID situation. We're still financially recovering from that, and even if you're a major multi-billion dollar studio or business, you're still trying to recover from what you lost because of that. And because you're still trying to recover, it's not going to make it easy for you to just, go and tell your employees or go and tell those that freelance for you, like writers, people that, get jobs, because of, the script or story you present to them through their agents and all that, and everything. It's not as easy as it was before to give them what they're asking for financially. It's not. It's like basically the way this is being played out, in my opinion, is the AMPTP and the Hollywood studios every, from Disney, Warner Brothers, and all that, they're like, look, we get what you want. We understand what you want, but what you have to understand is financially, we can't do that right now because we're still recovering from the COVID situation. That's what we're recovering from. And what you're asking for is impossible. It is not, reasonable right now. And we want you to understand that we can give you somewhat of what you're asking for, but not everything. And, the writers obviously don't want to hear that. They want to, all they want to hear is, okay, fine, you, the Writers Guild, you win, you'll get what you want, if not double that. That's what they want to hear. And again, I don't blame them for that. I don't blame them. I don't blame the Actors Guild for feeling the same way and everything, and wanting certain issues resolved, like residuals, I should say, and the decrease of AI being utilized. I don't blame them. Nobody does. But again, the timing couldn't be any worse. It couldn't be. It couldn't be any worse. Because of the fact that financially the studios are trying to say, look, in the AMPTP are trying to say, look, we get what you want, we just can't do it right now. Like, we can give you something, but not what you're asking for. And, again, as strange as a comparison as this might sound, it's kind of very similar to YouTube's copyright thing, like I mentioned yesterday. You see, I mentioned yesterday that, we as content creators, can do videos and everything all we want, but if we're using music or footage or something like that from, from wherever, like if we're using music to make a fan vid or a PMV, or we're using footage to do a game review or movie review, in the studio, even if we do say, hey, it's in fair use and we're following all the protocols, the studios have all the rights to come out as well, have all the rights to come out and copyright claim that, and say, hey, your video can, hey, you could still have your video up and people can still watch it, give you views and likes and all that, but you're not going to make money off it because that's not your property. That's not your footage. That's not your music. And by them coming out and claiming it, what they're doing is they're sending that monetization that they're getting, that monetization they're getting, they're sending that over to the musicians, to the actors, to the directors, the writers, that as residuals. That's what they're doing. That's why they copyright claim it, because they're sending that money, which you would be getting, to those of the guilds, for them to have something in return for the usage of said footage or sound or whatever. I mean, for example, these here, I'll Make Love to You, Get Shine On, this one being my newest one, of course that's going to get copyrighted because that's a UMG, Universal Music Group, label song by Boyz II Men. And of course, instead of me making money off it because, hey, it's my own creation, I can't, because of the fact that the song is what's preventing that from happening. And because they're getting that copyrighted and claimed, yes, my video could still be seen and everything. Like I said, my video could still be seen and everything, but it can't be monetized. The people that monetize it are the ones that make the money, the ones that made the song. And because they're copyright claiming it, that money that they're getting instead of me goes to the group Boyz II Men, goes to the people that produced the songs and distributed the songs and stuff like that. So that's kind of a residual going out to them, if you know what I mean. And that might seem unfair to us, the content creator, but that's how it is. That's how it is and everything. Or to use another strange comparison, and I brought this up to my mom yesterday when we were heading to my sister's to go to San Francisco Zoo. I mentioned the fact that basically, long story short, I mentioned the fact that it'd be like if she ever decides to hang it up, step down, but she decided, okay, I'm gonna leave my lessons for you, or let me rephrase that. It'd be like if she decides to step down from preschool teaching, and her job says, hey, can we keep your lessons and everything that you put together? And she'd be like, yeah, no problem. Now, normally that wouldn't be an issue because she wouldn't be owed anything. But if she was to do that, and she was to sign something contractually that says, hey, every time one of her lessons gets used, she's going to get an extra amount of money sent her way by her job, as a residual, then that's going to be in her right because, you know, every lesson that gets used that she created originally that was of her own doing for her job, for the kids and everything in the preschool, she'll get compensation. She'll get a residual for that. And that's kind of what, that's kind of what the writers want. It's like any time a show or a movie that they've written for, like from a show perspective, episodically, if it gets used, they want a residual out of it. Same with the actors. But again, the difference with the actors and the producers and directors is they have more leeway, than the writers. The writers could easily be replaced, if the AMPTP felt like it. I mean, like right now, apparently soap operas and daytime television is not going to be affected as much as we think because of a network code. And also the fact that soap operas could easily replace their writers with non-WGA writers. So who's to say, the AMPTP and the Hollywood studios won't take note of that in the future and be like, okay, if you ever want to strike again, guys, then we're going to replace you. Like, let's say they do come to an agreement, and part of that agreement on the AMPTP's part is, hey, if you guys decide to strike the next time this happens, then we have the right to replace you with non-WGA writers and get the job done. How's that? That might be what comes up. That might be what comes up and everything if a deal gets made. And apparently, the way a deal is going to get made is if basically what the studios, according to various sources, and the AMPTP is saying, comes to light, and that is them allowing this strike to go as long as it has to, drag out as long as it has to, until financially, basically, the writers start feeling the stress of it, and they start getting behind on bills, they start getting behind on car payments, mortgages, rent, and everything, and only then will they decide, okay, fine, we'll take whatever deal you have on the table. And that's why a lot of people, whether you agree with it or not, look at the writers as the ones that are basically the first to fall in this battle, in this bargaining battle of guilds, versus the AMPTP. Everybody feels that they will be the first to fall. Like if you made a comparison chart, between all the guilds, the actors, directors, the actors and directors and producers would be up here, and the writers would be down here. Or if you're like in a war and everything, and you're going against the AMPTP, and the guilds needed a sacrificial lamb to put in front to protect themselves, the actors, producers, and directors would put the writers right in front of them as the first victims. And I know that's hard to say, but that's a fact. It's hard to say, but it's a fact. But yeah, apparently the writers, according to reports, are going to be basically be the ones to, basically at the end of the day, by the fall, be the ones putting the white flag up, in surrender and take whatever is given to them, according to reports. But do you think it'll happen? Do you think the studios, will succeed in what they're hoping for? Let me know down below in the comments as well as on the live chat during the premiere. Like the video. And until next time, guys, I will talk to you later, but give me your thoughts. And how do you see this happening?